Good evening, everyone. My name is Jevin Daugherty, and I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about how I got to be me. I can still remember the day I left California. It seemed like a normal day. I woke up and was getting ready for school. I was in the 4th grade. My mom had mentioned to me that my dad would be picking me up from school, and I'd be staying with him for a while. My dad lived in Reno, and it was unusual for him to come and pick me up from school on a Monday. But I didn't get to see him much, so when he arrived at school, I was excited. It wasn't until I talked to my mom on the phone a few days later when I realized what a while actually meant. She told me 2 years, which to an 8-year-old sounds like forever. Finally, 2 years came and went, and I was back on the phone with my mom, eager to go home. Instead, she told me that I was staying. I was really upset, and I told her, "You don't love me." I was mad that I couldn't go back and be with my mom. I was confused and didn't understand why my mom wouldn't let me go home. But looking back now, she knew exactly what she was doing. I was born in Reno, but after my parents split when I was 4, I went to live with my mom in Vallejo, California. We had family out there, and like any family, we had our challenges. My mom used to tell me that we couldn't trust our family. That's a hard thing to hear as a kid. If I couldn't trust my family, who could I trust? Even so, my mom was pretty lenient with me and whoever I hung out with. I didn't have many friends, but I did spend a lot of time with my older cousins. My cousins and I were pretty close, or at least I thought we were close. They picked on me a lot. At first, I thought it was just in fun, but when I realized they picked on me more than they picked on kids that weren't part of the family, I was really hurt. They started leaving me out of things, not wanting me to tag along or join in the fun. As an only child, I didn't have siblings to play with, and I hadn't made many real friends in Vallejo. But looking back now, it was good that my cousins started to distance themselves away from me because they were heading down a path of trouble. But at the time, all I felt was rejection and loneliness. I started keeping to myself. Eventually, my mom and I moved to Fairfield, and I didn't get to see my cousins much anymore. But I found out that right next door, there was a kid my age, and we became friends. I was still feeling hurt from the way my cousins had rejected me, and I was desperate for friendship, so I was ready to do anything my new friend would do so he wouldn't reject me too. My friend had an older brother, and eventually I found out that he was in a gang. He would tell us to do things like spray paint buildings and steal from stores and houses. I knew it was wrong, but I wanted to fit in so badly that I thought I had to do it. The more I hung out with my friend and his older brother, the more my attitude started to change. I started talking back to my mom and trying to avoid going to school because this older kid told me it wasn't cool. I was 7 years old and heading down a dangerous road. That was when my dad picked me up and brought me to Reno. My older cousins still live in Vallejo today. Most of them haven't chosen a very positive path in life. That's where I was heading if I had stayed. I didn't see it at the time, but my parents definitely did. I moved to Reno to live with my father, stepmother, and 4 new stepbrothers. Things were very different. I was shy, I had no friends, and it was hard trying to bond with these new brothers who were around the same age as my cousins, and my memories of what it was like being mistreated by them were still fresh in my mind. I wasn't sure who I could trust, so while I would watch the things they did, I never wanted to participate. Until one day, when they were wrestling around the house, I joined in, got hurt, and took it very personally. I wasn't sure if they did it on purpose or not, but my pride was more hurt than my body. I felt like I was getting picked on all over again. I was so alone. That was about the time my dad and stepmom signed me up for the Boys and Girls Club. My brothers went to the club on Neal Road, and my dad knew the club would be good for me too. I wasn't so sure. The first week that I was there, I felt like I was being forced to go, and I was. But being at the club was a brand new experience for me. I had never been somewhere with so many activities going on. There were so many new faces. That first day, I kept to myself, but I was intrigued. It wasn't long before I started participating in some of the activities. I even started making friends. The Boys and Girls Club members weren't like the crowd I grew up around in California. They didn't pick on me or make me feel like an outsider. Instead, they wanted to play with me. That's when I started to realize that there were more people in my life who I could trust. Two of my older brothers, Matt and Reg, were leaders in training at the club at the time. We called them LITs for short. That meant they were in charge of us younger kids and would help staff run programs and activities. In the summer, they even got paid for their time. One of their favorite activities was football, and they were really good at it too. I had never played football before, but I quickly found out that I liked it. My brothers taught me plays, techniques, tricks, and drills, and we even worked out together. When we played football, I found out I was pretty good. I felt good about myself. I started learning about commitment and teamwork, and that if I was going to be successful on the field, I had to trust my teammates. The more time I spent at the club playing football with my brothers and friends, the less I thought about my cousins picking on me or the wrestling incident. I kept focusing on the game, and before I knew it, I was in a helmet and pads on a real team playing in a local league. We weren't very good, but I didn't care. I got along with everyone on the team. And my brothers, they would come to the games and cheer me on. I know that part of the reason I did well as the team's running back was because of the practice and time I spent at the Boys and Girls Club with my brothers every day. I loved the fact that the Boys and Girls Club was some place that I could look forward to going to each day after school. I almost couldn't wait for school to be over because there was always some type of new outdoor activity going on at the club. And whenever my brothers were leading this group of kids in a new activity or sport, they would spend a little extra time with me so I was that much better. I also loved going to the club because it motivated me more to do my homework. Before I started going to the club, I would go home after school, and there was nobody there to make me do my homework right away or stop me from watching TV. But when I went to the Boys and Girls Club, I knew there would be some cool LIT in the homework room ready to help me if I didn't understand anything. My home life began to improve as well. I loved hanging out with my brothers, and my dad and stepmom were very encouraging and supportive. I started coming out of my shell and learning that there were lots of people in my life who I could trust. I didn't have to conform to others just to make friends. I could be my own person, and I could choose my own future. Over the next couple of years, I immersed myself in the club, trying many of the different programs they offered. After my first year in high school, I realized that I was the same age as my older brothers when I first met them. I remembered how they had jobs as LITs and used to brag about how they were making money by having fun. The next thing I knew, I had on a fancy green t-shirt that said Leader in Training on one side and Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows on the reverse. I was a little anxious about working with the kids, so the first thing I did was call up Matt and Reg, who are now in college. They gave me lots of tips on how to deal with kids. Their experience was so helpful. I learned the age groups, attitudes, and mentality of the kids very quickly, and after a week, I realized that I really enjoyed working with kids. I especially like working with those kids who are a little more quiet and cautious. They remind me of myself when I was younger. They're not always too excited to hang out with me at first, but once they let you in, they're the ones who you can build the deepest relationships with. I love getting those kids involved in activities and seeing them have fun. I hope that I can be that positive role model in their lives that I had at the club. I take my role as an LIT very seriously. Before an LIT can earn a paid position at the Boys and Girls Club, they have to volunteer at least 160 hours of their time. Because I stayed focused and committed to the Boys and Girls Club, I volunteered more than 350 hours my first summer and more than 800 hours since I first started the program. Last October, I was honored to receive the Leader in Training Member of the Year award. This award was meaningful to me because it recognized me for being a positive role model. I have so much to be proud of. I've saved up my LIT paychecks over the past few summers and bought a car with my own money. I'm doing something good for the community, and I get to give back to the club that's given so much to me. I hear a lot of stories about how kids are experimenting with drugs and alcohol. I wonder why kids my age do that to themselves, knowing that there are consequences. Maybe they don't have people in their lives giving them good advice. Maybe they don't have fun activities to choose from every day, or a job that makes them feel like they're doing something good with their lives. Maybe they haven't found their Boys and Girls Club yet. It is clear to me now that that could easily have been me. My mom still lives in Vallejo today, and we stay in contact. Because of my experience at the club, she has enrolled Jevin and Jovel, two of my younger brothers, into the club in Vallejo. She tells me that they're both doing well and staying out of trouble because of their club. Every once in a while, I think back to the day that my dad picked me up and that long overdue phone call with my mom 2 years later. I remembered being confused and angry and hurt about not being able to go back to my mom. But I have also grown to understand what a tough decision it must have been for my mom to send me to live in another state without her. But today, that confusion and anger has turned into gratefulness. I'm grateful that my dad and stepmom signed me up for the Boys and Girls Club, even though I didn't want to go. I'm grateful for my brothers who refused to give up on me. And I'm grateful for my Boys and Girls Club that has pushed me to realize who I am and what I can accomplish. And the hurt I felt when I thought my mom was rejecting me has turned into respect. It is amazing what someone will do for you when they put their love for you above everything else. From my mom, I have learned that doing the right thing isn't always the easiest, but that doesn't make it any less right. In the words of Yogi Berra, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. Today, because of the support and guidance I get from my parents, my brothers, and my club family, I know where I'm going. I'm taking advanced placement classes at school and looking forward to being a Galena graduate with the class of 2014. Next year, I will attend the University of Nevada, Reno and major in veterinary science. After that, I'm not completely sure what my future will hold, but I know it will be bright. I'm not the shy, quiet kid in the corner anymore. I'm a leader and a mentor, and when it comes to making those difficult decisions in my own life, I know that I'll be ready for anything that comes my way. Thank you.